Hi all. Today I'm going to discuss about the Databricks. So what is Databricks? Okay. So Databricks. So if you see anyone trying to learn data engineering, so the common word which come as a Databricks. Okay. So especially if you go into any interview or when you attend any interview, so the Databricks is very important. Okay. So basically, what is this data break? Why there is a demand in market, high demand in market? So I'm going to explain today. So basically, Databricks is a ETL tool. Okay, so if you take, there are various ETL tools available in market. Like if you take ADF and if you take SSIS, okay, and Talent. Okay, there are many things. Okay, so there are various other things as well. We are using the ETL tools. But why can't we use this and why we are using another ETL tool? Okay. So what is the drawback of this? Okay. And why we need to use Databricks especially? Okay. So the answer here is Databricks having, there are various benefits. Okay, so you have a main process is, so it will do the big data processing. Okay, big data processing. So if you example your data is 1 TB data. Okay, so 1 TB data is not a small amount of data. It's a very huge, right? So I wanted to process this 1 TB or 2 DB data. Okay, so if you take these kind of other tools like ADF, SSIs, Talent, these are very difficult to process the same data in this technologies because in these technologies you don't have any specific tasks or capable programming languages to deal with the data manipulations or data processing. Okay, so another important thing is Databricks having a distributed data processing mechanism is there. Okay. And the partitioning is there. Okay. So there are various other benefits which others involved in Databricks. Okay. So distributed data processing. What is distributed data processing? Okay. So I'll explain that okay in my next session. So basically the distributed data processing on fault tolerance. Okay. So there are various other benefits which we have by using the Databricks. Okay. So let's come to this one. Okay. So what is ETL? So ETL is extract, transform, load. Okay. So this is the process which we are performing. Okay. So ELT or ETL, you can perform anything by using the Databricks. Okay. So main thing is this Databricks, okay, so it supports various other languages like Python. So it supports Python and Scala, okay, and as well as SQL and R language. So these are all the four languages which it supports. Okay, as part of coding standards, you can use Python, Scala, SQL, and R language. Okay, so these are all the languages which supported by the Databricks, and you can write any kind of programming language here. And if you know any Python, you can write Python. If you wanted to write a Scala, you can write it, and you wanted to write in SQL, you can write it. Okay, so as part of your real-time experience, or you wanted to be attending any interviews, so you need any of these two languages experience. Okay, so this Python or SQL or Scala or SQL. SQL is mandatory. Okay, I would suggest learn SQL or Python or Scala. Either of these languages you can learn. Okay. So my preference is you can learn SQL and Python. Okay. So most of the functionality you have in Python. Okay. So you can use this Python language and SQL so that you will get very flexible coding standards in these two languages. Okay. So now the data breaks. Okay, so we have some community edition which provided by the Databricks team. So Databricks usually it's a open source, okay, open source tool. So here we have, if you log into the community edition, so this is the workspace. Okay, if you take this one, so this is nothing but the workspace. In this workspace, we have, you see here new. If you click on new, it will ask various things, notebook, experiments, cluster. There is various others thing. Okay. And if you click on here, so workspace is the one which we are going to use for our development. Okay. So workspace is where, especially this is the folder where your actual development will start over here. Okay. So the workspace you are going to create, example, you are working on a development. Okay. You are creating a notebook. You can create a folder correspondingly based on your application. Like example, your application is a sales application. You can create the folder and that particular individual notebooks you can create. Okay. So the terminology of Databricks, the code data processing, we will represent as a notebook. You see here inside the sales folder, you can create the notebooks. The terminology is workspace contains the folder and folders have the Databrick notebook. Okay. So these notebooks, we will write the set of code. This one we will call it as a cell. Okay. So cell 1 and cell 2 and 3 and so on. So you will write the set of steps to get your output. Okay. So I have mentioned right here source, extract, transform, load, right? So all these steps you can perform step by step. Okay. Source and example, this is the source file read and this is the transformations and this is the transformation. And finally, you are going to write the data into your corresponding DB or a file, anything, any format you are going to write. Okay. And here I can change my notebooks. So my application is a sales application and this will perform a read customer data, customer underscore ETL. Okay. So I'm going to represent, this is my application and I am mentioning a read customer ETL file. Okay. I have given the notebook name. You can edit here. Okay. And if you see here, it's a Python. I have mentioned there are few other languages which is supported by the Databricks. Okay. So here you see here Python is there, right? So here the representation is, so percentage of, example, I wanted to change to SQL. You see here, at the moment when I type this command, it automatically got changed to SQL. And similar way, if I wanted to change to Scala, so you see here, it's automatically again switch it to Scala language. And similar way, R language. Okay. So it used to treat the Python R. Okay. And if you wanted to write Python, you can support Python. Okay. So this is the way you are going to change your notebooks. Okay. So you can create, you can write the program. Okay. And you can execute the cell by cell. You see here, there is a cell and there is a run button. So once you write the query, you can run the cell. Okay. And run all is nothing but it will execute all the statements one by one. Okay. It will execute all the statements at a time one by one. Okay. One after first this statement get executed and second statement, third, it will execute sequentially. Okay. Usually the notebook get executed when you click on run all, it will sequentially get executed. Okay. So here another language called markdown language, percentage MD. So percentage MD is nothing but markdown language. Example, I wanted to make some what brief about this notebook. Example, this notebook represents ETL, okay? And next one is customer. So customer data load from source ADLS. Okay, so this is how I have written. Once you execute this, so this will show the preview. If you click on show preview, you see here. So this is how it will show. You see here ETL and the fonts also. One hash, it will be like this. And you have a markdown languages as well. So you can write similar way. When you start any notebook while writing, first you need to use the markdown language to mention what this particular notebook will do. Okay. So then after that, you will start your actual coding. Okay. So this is how it works. So how this notebook will be executed is it's based on cluster. There will be a cluster which is attached to this one to execute these statements. You need a cluster. Okay. So let me explain about the cluster. What is cluster? And I'm going to explain the in and out mechanism. Okay. So basically, this is the Spark architecture, cluster architecture. So how it works is, so we have a driver and we have a worker nodes. Okay. And in between, if you see here, this is a cluster manager. Okay. So let me simply explain here. Okay. So your driver example in real time. Okay. So I'm comparing with the employees. Okay. So in real time, you have a team lead in your project. Okay. One team lead will be there. And under this team lead, example, two employees are there. Okay. Two engineers are there. Okay. One engineer is an assistant engineer, and same way another engineer 2. Okay, so I'm just representing engineer 2. So here, and you see here, this is like a manager. I would say manager. Why I will tell you why I have mentioned it as a manager. So basically, example, the project they have given some requirement. Okay, so you need to have, so the requirement is I need one Python developer to develop the project, and I need one Java developer, and I need one .NET developer. Okay, but in these two employees, there is a multi-skilled employees also there who knows Java and .NET and Python. Okay, so the project requirement is, so all these three tools need to be used to develop the project. Okay, and the deadline is it's only for 1 week. Okay, and so we have only two employees. So this need to be completed, and it's a very big task. Okay, so in this scenario, what will happen? Your team lead will approach to these two employees and he will ask what is the bandwidth and what is the allocation. Okay. And also we have a deadline is very less, 1 week. So in this 1 week to complete all these tasks, it's very difficult, right? So there are two employees only there. And even though they are multi-skilled and they can take up, but if you start either two, example, Python, one employee can take, and Java, another employee can take, so they can complete on time. But there is one more tool left with us, .NET. But if they parallelly take .NET, they will ended up with the time crunch because they cannot able to complete this task. So this team lead will approach to this manager, and manager need to take the decision how we need to split all these things. Okay. So now manager need to think, so we need to take one more employee for .NET. That is the only option. We need to hire one more employee. Okay. So that you can flexibly distribute the work. Similar way, the cluster manager and your Spark architecture will work same way. Okay. So here Spark will distribute the tasks. Okay. And it will distribute your task or a work. And if you are trying to deal with a large number of data sets, it will easily distribute and it will allocate the work and it will complete within timelines. Okay. So that's how this Spark architecture will work. Okay. So here in the Databricks, you have this many tabs. Okay. Recent. So recent is nothing but whatever you have opened recently, and search is nothing but you can search. And catalog is very, very important. Catalog is nothing but it works like your similar database. Okay. So similarly, how SQL database will be there, right? Similar way, the catalog will work, but it will utilize your internal storage. Okay. Databricks internal storage it will use, and it will create the tables and workflows will be there. Okay. So there are some ETL, I will show that one. And compute is the one what we discussed just now, right? So same thing, you need to create a cluster. Okay. So if you create a cluster, there are two types of clusters, all purpose cluster or a job cluster. There are two types. Now, all purpose cluster is nothing but you can use for dedicated job pool and you can use for the manual execution runs. I will show that one. I'll in a separate session, I'll compare this two and I'll explain. And let's create one cluster here. How to create? Create compute. And you can see here. So this is the, once you click on here, so you will be able to see the cluster methods. So I'm selecting 15.4 LTS, and so this is my Spark configuration, and this is the 15 GB memory, and so this is the environment and password and everything. Okay. Create computer. Since it is a community version, you are seeing this option. But if you are using for a Microsoft 1 month free trial, or if you are using for a paid version, so you will get some more options also, because currently you are seeing limited options because this is a community edition version. Okay. So that is the main thing. You are not able to see all the full-fledged operations. Okay. So the cluster, once you create, right? So the cluster will appear over here. Once you open any of your notebook, so the cluster here, right? So this will be comes over here. It will enables for you to execute your data. You see here. So you will select this cluster and this cluster will be in a green color mode, so that you can simply execute. If you click on here, it will execute the corresponding task. So this is about the Databricks. Okay. Introduction. Okay. I will make another session for how to create mount point and everything I'm going to create. Thanks, team. Bye.